What's up, everybody? What's going on? Here we are. We're trying out this whole live thing. I'm gonna wait to see who is on here. Yep. Hello. Just trying to see who may be on here. I think we got maybe 5 people. What's up, Ashley? Good morning, ma'am. How are you? Just gonna kind of hold up here and just wait to see who all is here. If you're here, give me a shout. Post a comment. And Asia, what's up? Good morning. Good morning. I'm doing pretty good. What's up, Macy? See how many people we got gonna get up this morning. Quessy in the house. No, sir, Jacob. No, sir. You see it. Go blue. Good morning, Jamie. Good morning, everybody. We're just gonna hold up here before we kind of get rolling. We're not gonna do much today. We're gonna kind of make it just through the end of the packet that we were working on Friday. This is really kind of a test run. So good morning. See who else jumps in here. Right now, it looks like we've got 7 people. We'll probably just hold up to about 9:40 to see what everybody's doing. Hopefully, everybody's feeling all right. Everybody's doing okay. Macy, how's everybody at your crib? The Griffiths are doing all right. Can everybody hear me? Kind of just, I guess, answer me there on the side. Just let me know if you can hear me. Just want to make sure that I've got everybody in. Yep. Okay. Cool. Nice. So as you guys know, I've never done this before, so cool beans. I'll wait till about, like I said before, I'm gonna wait till about 9:40, get started. Some people may just be kind of late getting in. Some people may be trying to get in. Um, but spread the word to your other classmates. Let them know we're going to be going live every day, Monday through Thursday, anyway, at 9:30. Um, if this is a bad time for everybody, we can change the time. But for me, I kind of like to jump on early, get it done, give you guys the rest of the day to do whatever else you have to do, and and then obviously you can always just watch the feed. We're not going to cover tons of material every day. I realize there are a lot of people who don't have access to the internet or whatever it is. So, we're going to kind of just really slowly go through the rest of this unit. We won't take any quizzes. We won't have any tests. I am going to expect you guys to complete your guided reading packets. Um, and that's pretty much it. And then I'm going to set up a USA test prep for a class for us to join. And I'm going to put assignments in that USA test prep. There's going to be review assignments primarily. And then you're going to be able to go in and just kind of make sure that you're keeping up with your skills and the things that you've already learned. And we'll kind of just try to make this thing work, baby. If you just logged in, check in with me. Just post a comment. Let me know that you're here. Macy, are you still here? Looks like we're getting people and then we're losing people. So just give me a good morning. Let me know that you're here if you haven't done so. What's up, London? Guys, don't be shy. Feel free to comment in the live chat. Any questions, comments, or concerns you have, I'll try to answer those. My kids are walking around all over the place. The ones that are awake. So it's almost about 9:40. I know we only got 10 people right now. Seems like in the chat, but we'll kind of get rolling here and talk a little bit of U.S. history. Oh, Miss Vining. Nice. Up and at it, huh? Yes, you can. You can definitely pull a PowerPoint up, or you can just go based on the guided reading packet. But if you pull up, if you go to Edmodo, so we're going to kind of using two things right here. We're using the live. I don't really know how to put the PowerPoint up, I will have to kind of play with it a little bit more to kind of figure out how I project the PowerPoint where you can see the PowerPoint. But if you go on to Edmodo, you click on Edmodo, you'll see the PowerPoint that we've been working on. And so if you just kind of pull up that PowerPoint, you'll see where we are. And I'm going to kind of go through where we are, give you the slide number, and kind of see exactly what we're talking about. We're going to go back a little bit over some of the things that we discussed on Friday, just a little bit, and then we'll go forward. If you have your packet from last week, we're still on that same packet, that same guided reading packet. That packet deals with industrialization. And then I also have posted on Edmodo the next packet that we're getting ready to go to, because we're going to finish up this packet today. But both packets are on Edmodo. If you just kind of scroll down, you'll see the post. Last week's post had last week's packet on it. We've been in the same PowerPoint. So hopefully if you are on Edmodo, you can access the PowerPoint. Let me know if you can't. But you should be able to open up that PowerPoint, the one that we're on. Naja, I really appreciate all your help on Friday with getting this all set up. If you got any more tips or things that you think would be good, let me know. Like I said, I don't want to make this too overwhelming. I definitely don't want to leave people behind. Okay, I will ask Coach Ellis. Was Coach Ellis, was his PowerPoint, was it on YouTube or was it on a different stream? Let's go ahead and get started. Hopefully you've been able to pull up the PowerPoint. Maybe some of you are trying to, but the PowerPoint is a PowerPoint that talks about industrialization, immigration. And we left off on slide number 83. Posted on his weekly. Okay. Yeah, we'll have to figure that out. But you guys should have, tell me if you can't access the PowerPoint, but we're on slide 83 is where we kind of left off. We were talking about robber barons and philanthropy. So I'm going to kind of just get started here with the lesson. What we've been discussing is how big business developed, right? And so in society, these big business owners, there were two different connotations about what they were to society. On one side, they were bad for society. They were larger than life. They were soaking up large sums of income. The distribution of wealth was growing, or the lack of distribution was growing. The disparity between the rich and the poor was becoming larger. That means, what you had in American society was this growing level of separation between the people who are stupid wealthy and the people who are really, really poor. And in any given society, what you really want is the majority of the people somewhere in the middle, where wealth is being shared amongst the people and not in the hands of 1% or 2% of the population or 10% of the population. And so robber barons on page 80, on slide 83, it talks about these people as negative. Am I 18? I don't know what that means, TJ. So despite the negatives, some people saw these robber barons in that negative light of they're terrible and bad for America and terrible and bad for the economy. But on the other hand, they saw these individuals as captains of industry, that they were developing large corporations and businesses and innovations that were very important and also good for the American economy. So there's two connotations. You have the connotation of these big business owners as robber barons. That's the negative connotation. And then you have the connotation of these big business owners as, okay, no, you're not late. You're good. You saw the connotation of these big business owners as captains of industry. And so their philanthropy is that they gave away millions of dollars, they funded education programs, they built libraries, they built museums, they built things that benefited the general public. So that's where you have robber barons and the philanthropy part of it. So we really need to know the two words. We need to know robber barons and we need to know captains of industry. We need to know both of those as really speaking about the same exact people. The people we're talking about are the people that you have on your packet. In particular, the two that we gave you was Andrew Carnegie and J.D. Rockefeller. Andrew Carnegie, when you hear Andrew Carnegie, you need to think steel. And when you think of Rockefeller, you need to think oil. And if you just really on your packet, if you want to put it on the side, which is already there, but if you just want to put in big bold letters so that you can just file that away in your memory, Rockefeller oil, Carnegie steel. That's going to help you answer almost any question that you have about those two. Rockefeller oil, Carnegie steel. They both were huge business owners. Both of them carried the connotation as robber barons as well as captains of industry. Both of them did a lot of philanthropic work, but also both of them soaked up large sums of money and large sums of power as a result of the fact that they dominated markets. And both of them were monopolies. To go back over what a monopoly is, anytime you dominate a market, you're a monopoly. When you eliminate the competition, you're the only person, you're the only business, you're the only corporation controlling that market or making decisions in that market. That makes you a monopoly. So the elimination of competition is what makes you a monopoly. Going on to the next slide, it talks about social Darwinism, okay? And so business fits into this category of what we talk about with social Darwinism. Now, social Darwinism really is a phrase that is coined about just society, that in society, in all societies, animal societies as well as human societies, there's this belief of natural selection that the strong will survive and that the weak will die, and that society kind of naturally does that in order for the survival of any species. Well, when you refer that to business, it works the same exact way. That in a capitalist system, there are businesses that are going to thrive and do well, and then there are businesses that will not. They will die out. If they're not a good business, if they don't do things properly, if they don't compete in the best manner for the general public, they won't survive. We talked a little bit about that in class last week when we gave examples of different corporations. I don't want to give those examples because we're public right now. But if I don't market the way my competitors market, if I don't create a product similar to the product that my competitors are doing, I'm not going to make it. People aren't going to buy my stuff. And when people don't buy your stuff, you go out of business, you die out. And so there's this belief that the rich should dominate. Why? Because they do things better than other people. And so that's what social Darwinism speaks to. It's this idea that the value of a person is determined by how much money that person makes, how successful that business is. If J.D. Rockefeller is the strongest in his corporation or strongest in his market, then he survives, and he should survive. And so that's that. So very important to go back. Ashley just asked the question, what is philanthropy? Philanthropy is when you give to an important cause, or you give to a just cause or a good thing. So charity is philanthropy. Building libraries, building museums, giving money to universities, giving money to charity organizations. All that is called philanthropy. So these guys, they had such money and they had so much power and influence that it didn't just soak up all the money, they also gave it to other people. So great question right there, Ashley. Okay. So going back to just what social Darwinism is, that's what social Darwinism is, the survival of the fittest. And many people felt like this is what business should do. And we're getting ready to get into how a lot of people felt like the government should not play a role in any of that. It's just like nature, right? Nobody should step in nature and try to save the baby turtles that are born. And I always give this example of social Darwinism. When a sea turtle lays their eggs, they come up on the beach and they lay their eggs deep into the sand. And then the mama turtle leaves and goes back out to sea. And so those eggs are left to fend for themselves. All of them are in the sand. All of them have an equal opportunity, equal footing to try and survive. But only the strongest turtles are actually going to survive. Meaning, so many turtles are going to make it out of their shell. So many turtles are going to struggle up to get up to the top of the sand. Only so many of them are going to make it into the water. Once they get into the water, only so many of them are gonna make it all the way back to their mother. Some of them are going to get swallowed up by predators. So by the time for a turtle to make it all the way to maturity or to adulthood, that is the strongest turtle, and those are the turtles that get an opportunity to continue on and to continue the species. And so a lot of people felt like business is the same way. Some businesses are going to make it, and some aren't, and that's just a natural order of things, and that's good for an economy because you're only going to get the best businesses. You're only going to get the ones that should make it and that are going to be good overall for the market. So that's what social Darwinism is. Okay. And then the only thing that's really on the next slide about limiting of government restrictions on trust, and I already kind of went over this, there is a belief that the government shouldn't play a role in that. The government should just let things happen the way that they're going to happen. But that's not what the United States did. We felt like, the United States and the government felt like, we have to have certain laws and certain restrictions so that predatory actions don't take place. And so the Senate in 1890 is going to pass the Sherman Antitrust Act. And there are lots of antitrust acts that are passed, but your standards really focus in on that particular trust act, because that is the one that really sets the bar that says that it is against the law to create a monopoly and to do things that attempt to eliminate competition. So anti-competitive conduct. If I do things so that other people cannot compete with me, that's not fair. So the Sherman Antitrust Act makes monopolies illegal, and it makes anti-competitive conduct illegal. So you need to make sure, highlight, as you can see, it is underlined on the PowerPoint, slide 85, Sherman Antitrust Act. Okay. So this should take us up to kind of where we were a little bit, going back to the packet. It says, how did the branches of government eventually address the problems of monopolies? On slide 85, it tells you the Senate, what does it do? It passes the Sherman Antitrust Act. What does the president do? He uses his authority to limit the power of corporations. And you see on the slide there, it calls him a trust buster. Make sure that you associate that term with Teddy Roosevelt. So if you want to put President Roosevelt trust buster, as you can see there on page 85, and then the Supreme Court starts to rule against big companies, and in particular, it rules against the Standard Oil Company, and later on, it breaks up the Standard Oil Company as it deems it a true monopoly and being guilty of anti-competitive conduct. Okay. So, is everybody with me right now? Any questions before I move on? I don't want to leave anybody behind. We're kind of creeping up on 10 o'clock. And I may go a little bit over 10 o'clock just because I waited to get on, waited to get started. Any questions about where we are on the packet, where we are in the notes? Anybody completely lost? And we covered most of that on Friday, so we should have all those things already done. But anybody good on the packet? It says laissez-faire. Is that important? Laissez-faire is important. That's back a couple slides. Laissez-faire is the policy. Don't worry about vertical and horizontal integration. I really need to be able to post to really go over that physically. So I'm going to cover that whenever we get back together, but don't worry about vertical and horizontal integration. Laissez-faire is the approach that the government took. It kind of goes along with social Darwinism. Laissez-faire means to leave alone. It's a French term that essentially means hands off. Leave it alone, let it do what it naturally does. And so there are a lot of people who felt like, and that was the original approach towards business. The government had no political authority to tell business what it could and could not do. You know, hey, if I was strong enough and powerful enough to dominate a market, let it be. It is what it is. Let business grow and develop naturally. The government shouldn't put its hands in it and try to control it in any way. But of course, we realize that that's not completely what's best. And so you had things like the Sherman Antitrust Act that came in, and this is Congress, one of the first times that Congress actually does something to try and regulate or control business and what happens in business. But that's what laissez-faire is. Laissez-faire is this idea that the government shouldn't participate. The government should just let business be business, and they should concern themselves with political matters and not with the financial sector. Just let the financial sector do what it does. But that's not what happens. Okay, so hopefully we get that. So laissez-faire technically means hands off, but it's hands off by the government. The government should just leave it alone. Anything else? Two great questions. Good. If so, I'm going to slide down and just talk about labor unions really quickly, and then I will tell you exactly what to put in on your packet. So, you know, back in the day, in the early parts of the 20th century, in the latter parts of the 19th century, there weren't all the regulations that we have today. Today, we have a lot of child labor laws. We just have labor laws just in general. Those of you who have jobs know that there are all these rights that you have as a worker. If you work 8 hours, they have to give you a 30-minute lunch. If you work more than 4 hours, they have to give you a 15-minute break. There's a minimum wage. There are all these things that are put in place to protect workers. That didn't always exist. Businesses, once again, because the government allowed business to do what it wanted to do, businesses did whatever they wanted to do. They could work you however long they wanted to work you, however many days they wanted to work you. They hired children to do jobs because they could pay the children a lot less, regardless of how dangerous the job was. One of the things that the Navy used to do was employ kids to climb up into the engine and grease the pistons of the engines inside of their ships. If you've ever heard the term grease monkey, that's what the term comes from. These kids, they used to kind of climb up into these places and grease the pistons. That was something beneficial for kids to do because they were small and they could fit into these spaces and they could do it. But it's extremely dangerous work. There was no kind of workman's comp. If you got hurt on a job or something happened to you, it was just kind of, oh, well, you lost your job, you went home and you were handicapped. So, factory life at that time was very dangerous, and it was tough. It was really tough life. And there obviously were no social welfare programs put in place to do anything to help people who couldn't work and so on and so forth. So a very dangerous time for people in a time where workers were taken advantage of. So if you look down on the slide, you look at slide 88, it talks about factory life and how it proved to be very dangerous. They hired children. Immigrant workers were definitely taken advantage of because they would work for such low wages. They would force people to work close to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Most people don't understand that in the latter parts of the 19th century, early parts of the 20th century, there was no such thing as a weekend. That didn't exist. And the idea of a weekend is really not popularized until Henry Ford and the Ford Company starts giving their workers off on Saturday and Sunday. And that really gave rise to the American weekend, where people worked Monday through Friday and then took leisure on Saturday and Sunday. But before that, people just worked. Obviously, there was some reverence that was utilized for Sunday, but people worked. And they worked long hours and under terrible conditions. And so what comes about to try and help that, or to defend and protect the workers, as you can see on page 89, that is a slide of a bunch of kids who are working in the mines. Now, those kids are a whole lot less younger than you guys. If you can imagine getting up to go work in a mine every day, very dangerous, very difficult work. You go home, body aching, lungs sore, dirty, tired every single day, and you're a 10-year-old, and that's just your life. So you guys can be grateful for the lives that you live, because these gentlemen you see in that picture are living a much different life. So if you go to slide 91, that's what labor unions did. Workers come together to organize themselves to try and fight for their rights and for better working conditions. Great question. How much do these young men get paid? It depended, but a lot of times they worked for really, really low wages, $1 a day, $2 a day, maybe, which was, more money than it is today, but very low wages. And like I said, it was more beneficial to hire kids because they felt like they could get a certain amount of work out of the kids um, while not paying them what they could pay a full grown adult. This is the part of the packet that says labor unions. So it says the origins of labor unions and abuses of big business on the workers. Okay, that's the part of the packet that we're on, and I'm going to go over exactly what you should put there here in a second. I kind of want to just talk about it, and then I'll tell you exactly what I want you guys to put. So you had these laborers that really didn't have any power. They couldn't fight for their wages. They couldn't fight for the amount of work days that they used, or work or how long they worked in a given day. So they began to band together to form labor unions. And this is just when a collection of workers, um, everyone should have this packet. This is the same packet that we worked on last week. So yes, Ashley's right. It's the last page of the packet at the very bottom is where we are. If you don't have this packet, you can go into Edmodo and you can download the packet. Yep, Notes 11. Yep. It's the same packet we worked on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So how do labor unions work? They use this thing called collective bargaining. And that's what you see there on the slide, collective bargaining. So what is collective bargaining? Example in class, um, that, let's say you as students disagree with something at Hillgrove. Let's say you disagree with something in the lunchroom, right? And you guys want real fries to come back. And you guys are very passionate about these fries coming back. If two or three students go to Miss Stewart's office and say, hey, we want a change made, Miss Stewart will listen to you because she's a good principal. But but the power that you guys are going to have is going to be very limited. You're just a few people complaining about French fries in the cafeteria. But if the entire school, or let's say the entire junior class, decides to stand out in front of the school on Monday and wait for Miss Stewart to come and demand that she make a change, or you're not going to come into the building, well, your collective power means a whole lot more than just a few individuals complaining about something. You can remove a few individuals, you can fire a few individuals, but if everybody is together, is unionized, then you have a higher chance of getting your demands met. So this is why they use things like strikes, which a strike is when you just refuse to work. Businesses can't function if they don't have workers. And so that's what you call collectively bargaining. Everybody has to be together and everybody has to ask for the same things. And then it gives an example of some of the earliest labor unions there. We don't need to go into a lot of detail about them, but the Knights of Labor accepted both skilled and unskilled workers. And so, but you always had this rift. You had a rift between skilled laborers and unskilled laborers. So a skilled laborer would be something like a brick mason or a craftsman or someone like that. And an unskilled worker is like just a factory worker, someone who's working on the line, has been put on the line, told what to do, and they're just kind of doing a repetitive thing over and over again. So that's been always kind of a problem in labor unions, is that those people who feel like they have education or training kind of separate themselves from those who don't. So that's always a big thing. So kind of going back to the packet here, I'm going to talk about kind of what you want to put. It says the abuses of big business. What were the abuses of big business? One of which was the use of child labor. Number one, you put child labor. Number two, the exploitation of immigrant labor. Low wages. Number three, and 12-hour days and 6-day work weeks. Number four. So child and immigrant labor, low wages, exploitation of child and immigrant labor, 12-hour work days, 6-day work weeks, and poor working conditions. All that would fit underneath the different abuses of power. Then if you scroll down on the packet, and I'm kind of scrolling too, if you're looking at me, this should be note page 10 now, where it says the comparison of early labor unions. You have two sides. You have Knights of Labor and the American Federation of Labor. We talked about Knights of Labor a little bit here. The workers included for Knights of Labor, you want to put skilled and unskilled. And then workers included in demographic, just put immigrants. And then the American Federation of Labor, we hadn't talked about that. That's on the next slide of the PowerPoint, but we can cover that real quick. The American Federation of Labor was founded by a guy named Samuel Gompers. So on page 92 of the slide, it talks about Samuel Gompers. Samuel Gompers in the AFL. And I can just tell you guys, there will be a question on the EOC about Samuel Gompers in the AFL. Really highlight that. Samuel Gompers and the AFL. And obviously, he was a part of a union of skilled workers. It wasn't unskilled workers. The Knights of Labor, when it talks about using strikes, the Knights of Labor use strikes. Samuel Gomper in the AFL was very reluctant to use strikes because he felt like that wasn't the right thing to do. He felt like striking was bad for the industry, and he felt like it was a tool that workers shouldn't use to get their demands met. So he had kind of conservative labor views. And the other thing about Samuel Gompers is that his demographic primarily were American whites, were the only people who joined the American Federation of Labor. All right, guys, I'm a little bit well over my time that I said we're going to go for today. I know we didn't talk about a whole lot, but I really just kind of wanted to get on, see you guys, get a chance to see how this worked. Any questions that you have, guys, I'm going to be on Edmodo there for any help that you need all the way till 11:30. And I'll just have Edmodo up and I'll answer any questions that you have there. If you have any questions now before we get off, I will answer those. But this is going to go real slow, and this is going to we're not going to cover tremendous amounts of ground every day, because we don't want to leave people behind who can't be here, who don't have access to YouTube. So we don't want to leave people behind. We want to learn. We want to continue to grow and visit with each other. I just like seeing your names pop up, guys. Makes me feel good just to see you guys in the class and everybody's doing okay. But feel free to email me at any time. Parents, if you are on or with your students, feel free to message me on via email. I only ask you to give me a full 24 hours to reply to you. But I'm going to be in Edmodo here till 11:30. If you have any quick questions that you want to, or message me instantly to get an instant reply, you can do so. And I'm going to do that every day, Monday through Thursday. In terms of grading and those things, I'm not going to collect any grades while we're out. So we're going to be learning, we're going to be reviewing, but we're going to hold off on kind of the grading process for a minute. All right. So if there's no other questions right now, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to leave this posted for people who couldn't get up early and join us, and we'll be good to go. All right. See you guys. Bye.